Welcome, everybody. Trying to get this thing working. I don't know why I don't see you guys. There you are. So what I'm going to do, this is this live right now, I wanted to focus on family court. I don't want to focus on CPS or anything else. I just want to focus on family court. I want to emphasize family court. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I want to emphasize family court, and I want to see what families here. And I'm going to wait for people to join, obviously, because there's people that were in the comments that wanted to speak out, and I wanted to hear who has been abused by, who feels like they have been abused by family court. Okay, now whether CPS got involved or didn't get involved or whatever has happened past that point, what do you call it? I'm just waiting for you guys to hop on. I'll try to read some of your comments here. Oops, when it goes past that point, that's okay. But when you come on, I'm going to ask you also not to. Like, I don't want to do this video for like hours. You know what I mean? I just would like everybody that has who suffered from the family court, and how family court abused you, and did you feel like you were abused by family court? So hi to everybody. Hello, how are you? Somebody said, how did DC go? DC was amazing. Okay, I see you guys on there. Hi, hello, hello, hello. Okay, it's great to see all of you hopping on here. Let me see who's in the queue. Now, when you go in the queue, I'm going to ask you to do me one favor. Actually, the people that are watching right now, if you want specific questions asked, put them in comments. I'm sitting down right now. I'm not driving, so I can read. And I would like to, if you'd like to ask questions, that would be awesome too. If you're in the queue, remember, please don't have me pull you on here if it's about something different, okay? Because if it's about that you've been abused by family court, let's get you in here. Let's get you in here, okay? So let's see. Let's start with the first person, Jill Mitchell. Let's see who she is, and let's see what she has to say. And welcome when she comes on now. And Claire said they don't give anything to consideration. They are useless. And it's okay if she was involved in stuff like that. I'm just saying I'm focusing on family court. Oh, she got kicked out. Let's get her back in. Let's get her back in. So Rick, we made in a congressional hearing room on September 9th. And basically we had a room booked privately since May. Even our team wasn't aware of it, and basically that congressional hearing room, we did a child trafficking briefing that tied family court and the rest of it to child trafficking, and now that has been seen by over 400 congressmen and women, and we've had people calling from all over the country, their congressmen and congressmen in general, saying that they are in support of the briefing, and that they want the system abolished and that they want the bad actors arrested. So let's see who's in the queue here. If I can't get this lady back on, I don't want to, I'd like to go in order. This looks like Jill's trying to get her back here. So just remember, guys, that's what this is for right now. I had people commenting that they wanted to be on here. I don't have a good network connection, it says. It just popped up and said you don't have a good network connection, Jill. I don't know if you're in a bad spot. I have full bars. I'm going to try to get you again. If you want to speak about family, please get in the queue and I will bring you on. Oh, there you are, Jill. There you are. You came on. Hi there. So you had a deal.
Excuse me. So sorry.
Okay. You had a dealing with family court, correct?
For 10 years.
For 10 years. How many children?
2.
Okay, and are you still involved with this crazy place, or still?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. My ex-husband, who was abusive during the marriage, he was even more abusive during the.
She's being cut. Darn it. She doesn't have good signal. She doesn't have good. Okay, wait, it's pausing you.
I'm so sorry. I mean, no one calls me and all out of the blue.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
You know how that is.
I know how that is.
Yep.
You know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. So the more good we do, the more we get attacked. It's just how it is. You're
We are
taken,
all under we
you're
are
judged,
all
you're
under
judged
attack.
wrong all the time. It's quite enjoyable, let me tell you. Good afternoon.
Yes. Well, you know what? I want to first thank you for all the work that you've done. I have been working as a little bit of an advocate here for the last 10 years myself. I've made where where I live, and it keeps cutting out. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
please have patience. Please have patience with me because I'm thinking that I know for a fact because of the advocacy work that I've done here in Massachusetts and the people that I've worked with, this is not just me that is going through this. What's happening is the
This is a
same
national
thing.
problem. Keep talking. I'm just going to check on the dogs so they
Okay.
don't make so much noise
All
that
right. Yep. Oh, those
ruins
those
my.
dogs love to get on when you're on. So I think that there's probably a lot of you that have gone through similar experiences. If you have a vindictive ex, and if they've got money, they will find ways to continue to drag you back into court. This is usually associated with alienated parents and abusive exes that the relationship became abusive. So this isn't just me. And so what happens is what has happened in my experience is that the judges don't know what to make of it because my ex will come across as altogether because he's got a lot of money and he's always got representation. When I've tried to go in without representation because there's no money, I can't. He brings me back to court every 2 years to try to get the courts to take away all my rights to my daughters, and and because of it, I am actually a bachelor degree social worker. I've never worked for DCF. Don't even associate me in that way. But
Right.
um, I have I've worked with kids in TRPs. I've worked on adolescent psychiatric units. I did this for 20 years. My oldest daughter is a doctor. Um, I raised her and got my degree. So I'm only telling you a little bit about myself so that you get a picture of the fact that my life is all about children. It's all about bettering the lives of the children that are going to take over after us. And because I have this almost like horrendously too big of a heart, I can't stand to hear about children in pain. I can't handle it. So hi Josh, thanks for watching. Hi Kaylee. These are some of the people are advocates that I've connected with, and they've been traumatized and severely injured. But the biggest thing on top of the pain is the money that the courts are getting and making from us by prolonging and allowing people like my ex-husband, who is not a credible individual, but because he has the money and he hires the right lawyers, he has gotten away with stealing my children. So he has custody. I've only got
Oh, wait, okay, hold on. Let's
my
go back for 1 second. Hold on. Let's go
it's
back because
part-time.
I want to try to touch on
Sure.
some things because I like to shed light on things and I like to have, truth. Truth is the most important thing in this world, well, other than love, but truth. And, I try to stay very, I'm not involved in any groups. Like, in other words, I'm not involved in any one-sided groups. I try to stay in the middle, so that everything is unbiased, so that I can hear what people say. I love the words "I believe you." I think it's important that people are validated. I have a lot of social science research in my head, and I really try to hear people
Good.
out.
Good.
And it's ironic because like you guys know, I travel the country and I've been doing this for years, and I
Yeah.
see inside these fake courts and so on, and I see the damages and just the
I
horrendous.
love that you understand that they are fake courts
Oh,
because
no question.
we've gone we've
Yeah.
gone through there is something called Black's Law Book, which is the actual are you familiar with that? Black's Law.
Yeah.
So I've spoken to many, many, many people that are lawyers. Law schools do not even use Black's laws, which is the actual Constitution. It does not teach the actual Constitution. It teaches
Well, and
the
also,
law students
but
are
there's also
taught.
variations of
Oh,
Black's Law too. There's even variations of Black's Law, and they just keep tacking on more rules, regulations, and laws and penal codes and all this other nonsense. But really, at the end of the day, you need to take the axe to the root of all of it because it's all fraud. But aside from it being a
yes,
fraud, okay, aside from that, and I know that
yep.
that's makes it very difficult. We have to navigate these fake courts when you're in them to try to save children and families as fast as possible. So it's no holds bar. We use what they have against them, basically, is what we do. But I'm saying what I'm saying because by seeing the damages overall, one of the biggest things I talk about is the health and safety and welfare of families on a whole. And so you having this situation happen, and in your case, you're saying he has a lot of money and this is why he does it and this and that, and he gets away with it. But I've seen dirt poor families win. I've seen dirt poor one party, man or female, win against a person that had a lot of wealth too. And some people would
Fran,
be
I
about that.
Fran, I win every time. I win every time. They give me my children back every time, but they make me go through costly DCF interviews. They've made me go through pay for visitations at centers. They've made which I've had to pay for. I'm now being ordered to pay a licensed social worker to do visitation with. It's going to cost me 200 plus an hour to
So
get
you
her opinion, to
okay.
get her opinion and
But you
have
just
her
you said I thought you said he was the one that had custody. He doesn't?
he has he has custody, but I never lost my rights. But what
Gotcha.
he does is he will make up a story. He and I almost don't want to put this out there because I don't want other people
No,
to learn this technique, but liars will learn it anyways. So what he does is he grills my children when they come back from visits from me. My children have told me that they are punished until they say absolutely everything that has occurred during their visits, who they met, who they saw, who I was with. And so what he does is, so with the last episode, it happened in July of 2018, and my kids went home to him after my weekend with them. My kids did not have the best weekend. I didn't have the best weekend. And so they said, yeah, it was kind of a crappy weekend. Mommy's friends were there and we had to sit next to them and they were guys and we don't like guys. And they're at the time they were 10 and 11. And I've never brought any men around my children. They only know their dad. But their dad was cheating on me the whole time. He's a heroin addict. So he knows that I wouldn't allow that. I've never even seen a street drug. He was cheating on me with one of his heroin addict girlfriends.
well,
He moved he,
do the courts know? Have they had? They don't usually let you bring in
they
evidence, but do
not
they?
only is he an admitted the courts and DCF know
Mhm.
that he's a self-admitted heroin addict. I caught him high during our marriage, even though I had to check with other people because I wasn't sure of what the signs were, but the signs were all there that he was using, and yet they never once drug tested him. Number one, and then what he did when I was a stay-at-home mom taking care of his other, we had two daughters together, and
Mm-hmm.
he had brought into the relationship another daughter, a methadone baby. Now, it was, and so she was a very needy child. And so when he saw my credentials that I worked with children, he thought, boy, I would make him look good. So what he turned around and did when we were divorcing was he made all kinds of allegations. He said his lawyer, and I guess this is a tactic of our wonderful court system, is that especially if you're unrepresented,
That's not, yeah.
his lawyer went in, and what they do is they call it throw enough SHIT on the wall to see what sticks with the judge. Now this judge, they said she's on drugs, she's crazy. Yeah, I
The
was
judge.
in menopause.
Oh, he's saying this about you.
Yeah. Okay, so I just admitted all kinds of how crazy I was. I had my kids at 40 and 42. Okay, yeah, I was crazy. I was on menopause and dealing with a guy that was cheating on me, and he was using drugs. So, I mean, no, I wasn't probably in the best state of mind, but I most certainly was not using. I'm a major advocate against drug use, and I just am not. That's just not my thing. Anybody that knows me knows that's not my thing. But he was able from the start, because he had a relationship with the judge. He had a 10-year relationship with the judge. He had not enough money to hire an amazing lawyer who threw so much crap on the wall that this judge was very skeptical of me. So for 10 years, this ex of mine goes back, he does it, and he's a sneak. So what he does is he'll go before the judge in an ex parte move. So I'm not there to defend myself. He
He's,
just makes the statement,
mhm.
frightens the daylights out of the judge, and the judge immediately goes, "Yeah, take the kids, get the kids away from her until we can find out otherwise." It's not, there's no, there's no,
There's no
it's like
evidence.
that.
No judge should
No,
ever do that without any type of evidence and investigation. That's insane. When you're talking about heroin, I court watched a court case right across the river by Judge McKenzie, and the mother was a pothead, no question about it. I was not in favor, and the infant was given custody to the father, but the infant had to be supervised by his mother. So as I'm sitting there listening, I was like, I was disgusted beyond words, because the CPS that was there, the child attorney that was there, and the father's attorney all ganged up on the mother. And it
yes,
turned, but I want you to hear what happened. And the father was a convicted, listen carefully, everybody, heroin dealer and user. He was already
yeah.
convicted repeatedly, not one time. And the
This
baby
does
was in
not
his custody
surprise
as
me.
long as his mother supervised him. So then I hear the judge say, this is exactly what the judge said. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's going to do the right thing. You're always hoping. You're always hoping. She says, how many drug tests has he had? Well, he hasn't taken any of his drug tests except for one. And how does that one turn out? He passed it. Okay, well, what I'm going to do today is this. This is what she said, and this is what her order was. I'm going to now give him full custody. He doesn't need supervision anymore. One drug test.
Come on. Come on.
Now, hold on. This is
Come
an
on.
infant. This is an
I
infant.
I'm
And she said, and the mother will continue to be supervised by whoever. It didn't matter who. She didn't care. She didn't say like any program or anything, just supervised. And there was like protection orders against the parents for each other. And I just sat there and I was just like, so basically here's what their plan is. Here's their plan, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. I'm always willing to be wrong. But when I
No,
witnessed
I
it,
would love to hear your opinion because I can't make heads or tails of it.
well, I mean, they're all. It has nothing to do with rich or poor. Let me just explain. It has nothing to do with your political party. It has nothing to do with how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you live in a very poor neighborhood or the biggest wealth luxury neighborhood in the world. None of that matters.
This system is here to destroy everybody. That's what it's here for, because they're making trillions of dollars off of it, and that's why we're taking the head off of it. We're taking the head off of it, and that's it. But so people think this happened to me because of this, and this. It's not a because of anything. The only reason this is happening to you, whoever you are, is because it is set up, it is very sophisticated, and it is here to destroy the family. It doesn't care that it destroys the family. It doesn't care what it's making and producing out of children. It doesn't care about children. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care if you're a mother. It doesn't care if you're a father, an aunt, an uncle. It doesn't care. It cares that it's making trillions of dollars, and it is working to make trillions of dollars, period. That is the end of it. And people have to stop thinking it's anything else but that, because we need to just target and continue to do what we're doing. Keep making calls to Congress saying that you agree with the child trafficking, because that's what this is. It's child trafficking. And if you're child trafficking, you do not have a heart inside you do not have a soul or a heart. And you're doing this to families and children. That's it. And I'm going to tell you something. So
let me back you up, stop you for 1 second. Let me tell you, my ex-husband is Asian, okay? And I had gone to a therapist at around that time, okay? And when I told my therapist that my children were half Asian, I can, and I don't know whether this validates what you're saying, but I believe it does. I all of a sudden my therapist lost control. She got up, she stood up, she was very upset, she was pacing, she was she just started acting really weird. And I said, "You've got to tell me what's going on. What is the problem? Why are you reacting so strongly to the fact that my children are Asian?" And she said, "Well, I'm struggling with this because this is kind of a violation of what I'm allowed to tell you." She said, "But I have in therapy with me now Asian girls in our city whose families are trafficking them out for money." This was a pastoral counselor. She wasn't just a regular counselor. She was her big thing was, like, she used to be a nun and everything. You know what I mean? So her big thing was all about God. And so I really do believe, I did believe her.
One of the things that we corrected during the hearing was that the fact that everybody just seems to think, and it is sexual abuse, don't get me wrong, that's one of the biggest parts of it, but it's not always sexual abuse, it's trafficking, meaning they're trafficking your children. They're trafficking them, taking them from one place to another against their will and against your will. I have a question to ask you. You said you're a licensed social worker, right?
No, I'm not licensed. No. I am a bachelor degree social worker.
Okay, so bachelor's degree is good enough for me. Okay, so this is what I want to ask you then. This is very good. What is your take? What is your take? This is what America needs to hear. What is your take? And I have lots of friends that are social workers they never would go near CPS in a million years. But what is your take on children growing up? First of all, we already know how unhealthy it is to rip children from loving caretakers. We already know. That's why CPS is just insane as far as I'm concerned. But what is your take of children that are raised in homes where they are maybe not themselves being physically hit or abused, but they're witnessing a mother or father physically assaulting the other parent, or situations like that? What are there damages to these children, or is it fine? Are they resilient? Should they stay?
Listen, there's we could even get into statistics about that, but I mean, I'm not up to date on that. But all you have to do is look at people that you know. How many people that do you know that admit they grew up with some form of abuse in their homes? It's at least 90%. Okay, it's at least that people grew up watching their parents swearing at each other or not fighting appropriately. There's all these rules in relationships about how you supposed to fight appropriately, and one will bring up something from 10 years ago, and the kids are not getting attention because these two aren't getting along, or maybe one has a drinking problem, and there's only problems when that person's drinking. every single child is going to be exposed to something. If it's not within their family, look at what's on our TVs, okay? And
Really
you
bad.
can't tell me, if you can look around my house. I got no TV, but my kids, okay? I kept it that way on purpose, all right? But the kids are going to, in this time and age, your kids are going to be exposed to violence regardless of where they are. The best thing for kids is to know and to see a family that, yes, they may be having these problems, but if a social worker can step in and say, how can we help this family unite? Teach them some tools so that they can get along better for the sake of their children. This is what social work is supposed to be about. And we're
Right.
not seeing DCF do any of this. It's
No.
they yank the kid, they mess the kid up worse. The kids got, and you know what? No one, I don't care. You know what? I've got someone on here right now. He's watching, and he's adopted, okay? And he is very, very loved by his adopted family. He was actually rescued by Mother Teresa. But he is very loved and very supported by his parents, but he'll never know an adopted child or a child that's not from an original not
Biological.
from their biological parents. It's a different dynamic. And there's
Absolutely.
an unconditional love there for your children. Even if you're a crackhead, you love your kids unconditionally, but in a way that a stranger can't.
That's
And
right.
I think that's only my opinion. It's I use my education, I use my experience, but I
What do
believe
you
that.
feel, what do you feel about the overabundance of anytime somebody reports abuse, and I've seen it with real evidence over and over and over and over and over, children are being beaten up, children are having their heads bashed in walls, children are having horrendous stuff happening to them, and then the court gives the child to that abuser and then keeps the other parent away and says they coached. What are your
Okay, so
thoughts on that? Nothing
it's
infuriates me.
listen, this is going on so much. It should be blowing people's minds. I cannot understand why people are not up in arms. I have a woman who has to sit and daily know that her son, who was given to the father, okay, because
What,
he was more powerful, he was more he
what,
presented better, she was too emotional, for whatever those reasons that were given to her by the court. This child he is
oh, please don't come off.
molested by his father on a regular basis.
Has there been evidence shown of that? Has there been evidence shown
Yes,
of that?
yes,
Because
and she
there's a
but
case right
what
here in Ulster County by McGinty. I know the girl, I
yeah,
know the mother, I know the mother personally, like for years.
yes,
And the father had, he was in the military, and he was, what do you call it when you're dishonorably discharged, because they
yep,
found him looking at child pornography. And then
okay,
the mother, what happened is, they were co-parenting back and forth, the 50-50 thing. And every time she get the little girl back, there'd be stuff lodged inside her, areas. And one time there was even blood in the diaper. So she did what any mother would do or father would do in a case like that. She called law enforcement. She ran to the emergency room. And because of when she would get the child back, one time it was the pediatrician who clearly marked it down as that, called CPS. Another time she was like one of those emergency care places. Another time it was the hospital. It was like, it turned out being like 4 higher, medical facilities that documented sex abuse to the child very, very clearly. I've seen the paperwork myself, and that Judge McGinty gave the child to the father and
yes, he
took
did.
the child completely from the mother, put a protection order on the mother, and
Yep.
literally kept her away from the child for years, for years. It blows
Fran,
my
I'm going to tell you something.
mind.
I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear, okay?
Yes, you
But
can.
the reality is, okay, as you and I are sitting here breathing, you can't see your breath, okay? But we came from somewhere besides our parents having sex,
Oh God.
okay?
Yeah.
All right? This is bigger. This is bigger than just human flesh, okay? There is a spiritual battle going on,
About it. You're
okay?
speaking my language. You're
So,
speaking my language.
okay, so when you have a cluster, and the proof, some people need proof of this. So the proof of that is, how else do you explain a situation like that? And
Well,
how do you explain numbers and numbers and numbers of children and
right,
families who this is happening to? You
right.
can't, there's no logical reason for it. Like you said, it's
Hold on
not
one
about the money.
second. I'm
It's
so
not
sorry
about
to
the
interrupt
better
you.
lawyer.
Hold on one
Go ahead.
second. I have somebody on here. I'm not going to say your name out loud, but I'm getting 50,000 messages at the same time while I'm trying to hear this woman speak. And
All
somebody
right.
is insisting you can't type in comments. It has nothing to do with me. I don't know why that's happening. I'm not attacking you or
It's
blocking you or anything like that. You know who you
tell them
are.
to
There's
tell them
nothing
to
I
hit
can do
share.
about it. And I don't know why it's happening. It's probably a Facebook glitch, okay? Nobody's against you. I'm not blocking you. And that's the end of it.
No,
Okay? So
it
there you
was I just happened to
go.
get on by luck. Hit
It's
share,
something that I go through. It's
and they
I'm
might.
not trying to be rude. Believe me when I tell you I'm not. And I wish that sometimes people could see what it's like to be in the life of an advocate. Maybe one day I'm going to take you guys just on a day trip with me, so you can see what it's like, and literally be candid, like let you hear conversations I have with loved ones, conversations with family, conversations with families, see what it's like, what I deal with all kinds of aspects all day long, police, cops, judges, attorneys, the crazy things that go on throughout the day, and the insanity that goes on social media with these groups, I won't even say, and try to just live the life in my shoes for a little while. And the accusations that come at you are worse than actually what you see in the insane courts sometimes. Honestly, I'm being honest with you. So I'm sitting here all day long with the shield up all day long. You would not even imagine some of the things that I hear that I'm like floored. I'm absolutely floored by. And I am the most diplomatic, unbiased person that is out there. Like I literally try to hear all sides. I try to be
So let
respectful
me.
of everybody.
So let me kind of clarify what I think I'm hearing you say. So are you saying that when you're talking to these people, everybody has a different explanation for why it's happening,
So
right? And
everybody
they
in
don't want to, and they
page,
don't want to bring God and religion, or God into
I
it,
bring God
right?
into it.
Or Satan into it.
I
Is
do.
that what you
I believe it's
do?
definitely a spiritual battle. I absolutely do. But what I'm saying is, I'm saying that everybody individually and nationwide and probably globally, because we have global audience too, um, in their own particular thumbprint, in their own case, they believe it's because of this reason and that reason and this reason and that reason. And I'm
Right.
telling
Okay.
you that it really isn't because of that. Yes, in some cases, somebody is so wealthy. I do have cases like that, and they stole the houses and they stole everything and they paid off the judges. That is true. I'm not saying that that's not true. That is true.
Yeah.
There's real estate fraud and all kinds of garbage going on. It's a money maker. It's a money machine. But we will never get this solved in a million years. Okay, we are in the process of taking the head off. There's no question. If people, I'm just going to give it to you in my own world. That's what I was trying to go with. Like, if you follow me around for a day, um, and I'm not perfect. I'm a human being too. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to say to you, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I was wrong today. But the blatant disrespect for people, and we're supposed to be adults. Like, I never dealt with this in junior high school, let alone high school. The blatant disrespect for people. I want to know sometimes, what are we actually fighting for? Because there's no love, there's no concern, there's no gentleness, there's no like favoring of the other persons above ourselves. And I don't see this anymore. And it's very alarming to me. And to do this kind of work, you literally have to be selfless, but you're being attacked on every angle all around you, like literally. So every time you go to do something, here you're trying to save a baby the other day, and you can't even imagine the assault that came out. Or we go to Congress, and then there's all kinds of lies all told all around. Or we go do something else now, and this is constant. Your character is assaulted. Everything about you is being assaulted. Sometimes it's dangerous, even.
I've
So
seen it. I've seen you be attacked. I've seen the attacks, and I've spoken to people even recently who say, "I just don't like her." Well, you know what? It's not about a case of, and I said to this person, look it, we're all in this together. This isn't about you liking her personality. This is about being or whatever it is you dislike about her. Are we on the same page that we need to make a change? We need to things need to change. We cannot be broken up by something like you and I talking about a belief. Because we can't pin it down to just money. We can't pin it down to one good judge, one bad judge, one great lawyer, one bad lawyer. We
Right.
can't, because each we haven't been able to do that. Maybe our great grandchildren will do studies and come up with something that people who don't have the faith that we have or the belief systems that we have. I'm not trying to get anybody to force them to believe what I believe. You know what I mean? That's not what this is about. But it's the only explanation that truly makes sense,
Mhm.
is that we are dealing with real people.
We're dealing with a spiritual battle. I agree. I agree.
All right, guys, can you guys hold off on sending me stuff? Thank you, because it shuts me down from the thing. Thanks, guys. And you know what? Right now, my advocacy work I've put on hold because DCF knows about me and they're holding things against me because of it. So they're refusing.
Calling her.
I'm the bad guy because I've never. I mean, I and I think we have to pray, and we have to pray for these DCF workers as well, because they're being seduced by the money.
Yeah.
And the power, and they may have gone into this field thinking the same thoughts that I thought. You know what? I came from a family of a father who was very heavy-handed, very hard. You in his way, you didn't just get shoved over. You got a punch. Get out of the way. You know what I mean? We grew up very, very tough, and it was by no means. I mean, DCF finally got involved, and they used to come to my house after my father would give me a beating, and the police would show up, and they would call DCF, and DCF. This was, now I'm a little bit old. I gotta put my age out there, but this was in the early '80s, and DCF would come in when I was young, by about 13, and they would say, "Can't you just be a good girl?
That's what
Can't you?"
that's what DCF said to you. Can't you just be a good girl?
After my father punched me because I was standing too close to him.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I want to get other people on here as well. I really so appreciated hearing your story, and thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for some of your
Can I ask you
expertise.
something that I was hoping to, I clicked on immediately when I saw you on, and I know that I've talked to a lot of other people. Your last YouTube
Yeah.
about I don't even know it's unclear as to whether or not a lot that what you were speaking about
The arbitration award. She's
was it.
frozen. The
Yeah,
arbitration
people.
award. The arbitration award.
Okay, so it's called an arbitration award, and
We
that
have the
was.
award. It's signed. All I'm going to say right now is we have the award. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. You guys don't have it. You don't have it. So until you have it in your hand, don't think you have immunity, because you don't. But you can opt in, and you can opt in no later than November 1st. So I encourage you to opt in. I read the entire thing online. For anybody that didn't like that I didn't say it when I wanted to say it, that was my business and my prerogative. I wasn't speed talking. I wasn't acting whatever, like some of the retarded things I heard. The reason I did it the way I did it, and I wanted to have a lot of numbers on there, I think it's reached about 20,000 already views. The reason I did that is because I certainly don't need attention. You wouldn't want this job. The reason I did it that way was so that I wouldn't have to repeat 90 pages, which I did in an hour and a half, twice. So I have a reason for the things that I do. So that's to answer
I don't
anybody's
want,
question out
listen,
there. But
listen,
hold on.
what, you don't have to be defensive. I'm not trying to make you feel
But because
defensive at all. But
I have a large audience, it's the people. I don't care about certain people. They're going to be dealt with. The
I'm
people
not
that get
criticizing
caught
you.
in the mix, the people that get caught in the mix of their cobweb, that just because, and it's not, and really it's not intelligent, okay, to just believe something second and third hand. I always go to the source, okay? It's a good character trait to go to the source and find out from the source. If you didn't watch it yourself, if you didn't research it yourself, if you didn't learn it yourself, if you just heard something about somebody, find out before you start talking. It's not adult. It's not adult. And you shouldn't be fighting for children if you can't be adult. Okay, but that's my opinion. But regarding the arbitration award, we won it. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. It's not yours until it's in your hand. It is the most wonderful thing. It is the most wonderful thing. That's all I can tell you.
Can you talk? So I mean, I have a little bit of an education, okay, but because of, but I still couldn't understand the legalese, the legalese, meaning the way things are written legally is they use old English, first of all, so it's not clear. That's why you have to have a lot of people need lawyers to interpret what's been written after decisions.
Yeah, but here the thing is that you don't need lawyers for this at all. We have nothing to do with the Bar Association, which is illegal. This is actually common law, and I did read it, and we're going to actually do a Q&A to answer a lot of questions, hopefully tonight.
Okay.
But it's
Good.
a very, very, very simple opt-in process. It's so simple that a third grader can do it. That's how simple it is. Not talking about like reading the whole thing.
That's what I need. That's what I need.
To be basic. I think that's fair. That's why I try to anyway, speak very basic. We can sit here and give all this legal stuff all day long. And
No,
it's
it
not
wasn't you. It was the way it's written.
right. I understand. I understand that. And that's one of my things that I like to try to be as simplistic as possible with this stuff. But it's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened. And if I keep it basic, this has happened once before. And it was won. And the group that won it actually got lots of money back too. They were taken out of they had fake felonies. And that happened. And now, but this is on steroids. This is so good. So we're probably going to have millions of people opt in. But anyway, so I don't want to say too much.
Tonight you'll teach us how to opt into this.
I'm hoping that I'm going to have a couple guests on that can actually, that are like right in there with this. I'm hoping that tonight, I'm still waiting. That's my goal tonight though, is to get questions answered so families can, and very simple, how to opt in. I mean, to me, you just go to the part that says opt in and you fill out the piece of paper. It's what is your name? What is your age? Sign here.
Where?
It's that easy.
Where can I access that?
If you scroll down on my page, it's on my page and it's on Nicholas Herring's page. And
okay, see, I don't even know him. So
literally click
all right.
and it'll say opt in and do it by November 1st. And then when you have it in your hand, then you are that free person. Okay.
Okay.
So that's as much as I'm going to say like right now, because I don't want to like put too much out there without them on the interview with us, so they can answer other questions that I don't have an answer for. So, because I don't.
Okay. Yeah, because we need a lot more clarification. And that sounds like an amazing work that you guys achieved. And thank you for doing that and getting that. I mean, I've been watching you. You came in midway. Me and my crew, we started 10 years ago doing this stuff. So to be seeing these changes happening now, I can't tell you how great it is. I mean, I've got connections from here to California. I've got people in Europe who I'm connected with, and the same court abuses are going on there.
It's global, and we are. This will be my 12th year, but my second year on social media, and we kicked ass in the past 2 years. There's no question about it.
You have, and thank you.
I like
thank you, and God bless. I don't know how to get off this thing. You have to just try to click me out. Thank you. God bless. I love you, and I love what you're doing.
I love you too. Okay, I'd like to get Rick on if he could, or who's next in the queue. Okay, Remigio, I don't want to say your name wrong. I know there was Rick and Christina. I'd like to get a guy, a girl, a guy, a girl. And I like to keep things balanced, unbiased, and full of love. It's a very hard thing to do sometimes. And I agree with you, Joyce. Spiritual battle. Yeah, Trisha, I like that. I agree. We're trying to add, I don't know if it's happening. I'd like to do at least 4 today. I'd like to have 4 of you on. And this is, like I said, this is strictly. Hello there. Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good.
I don't. Let me see what I can. Have my Bluetooth, you mean?
Well, there's a background noise. Are you on a laptop?
I'm gonna try and put you on headphones.
Okay.
I mean, I'm completely shadow banned. I'm always attacked, so I wouldn't be surprised. I'm actually in Canada.
Okay. I'm gonna be.
Say that again.
I wanted to hear you.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. Let me just see if I can find my headphones. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this was going to be. I got them here.
Yeah.
One sec.
Don't get off. Let's listen. I'd like to hear what he has to say. Oh, that sounds better already.
Is that better?
Nicer.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
So what was how do you say your name?
My name is Remigio.
Remigio. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Remigio.
Nice to meet you. We've connected a few times. It was probably last February when I sent you a note, and you guys sent me some of the affidavits, and I was going through like crazy experience. Basically, my story. I'm a singer, and I've toured the world helping orphans, raising money for children in Africa. Anyways, I was in this relationship where I had I was told I had a child, and so the relationship was ending, but I was trying to make an effort to stay within the relationship, and she's the one who left me while she was 1 week pregnant. And so here we are, 8 years later. I've been alienated for the past 8 years, and I've had.
Would you blame the court for that though, or just her, or is it a combination of the two?
It's a combination of the two,
Okay.
I would say. The alienation stems from her completely. She was trying to make demands on me from the get-go to sign these papers that she won't put me on the birth certificate unless I sign that I can't take her out of where she lives, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say where she lives because I have, court documents that say that I, can't mention any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I would have to fly in 2,000 miles to go and visit my child. And when she was born, I flew from Asia to make it for her birth. And then from then on, I was there for 4 years of her life. Every month I would fly in. I would fly in every month for 4 years, now I'm getting an echo.
Oh, I hear you clear now, though.
You do, eh?
Does everybody hear him clear? Can you guys somebody comment? Right, you sound really good now. It's like crisp. It's like clear.
I'm hearing myself 5 minutes later now.
Yeah, I know. It's like.
I'm going to just keep trying. So basically, I've done everything I possibly can to be in my child's life. I paid $30,000, and the courts, the first judge was like, shame on you to the mother. Here's a father that wants to be in his child's life, and you are trying to stop. And then...
You're clear.
Sorry, I'm hearing you again. I'm just gonna speak because it's just crazy.
Okay.
So the first judge was actually on my side and said, Mr. Pereira will be able to come here and pick up his child and bring her back to be with his family. And so I would I was waiting, and then so the first Christmas came by, and I was asking to have that opportunity, and she refused it. So then we had to go to court again, and she was refusing my visitations as well while I was going down there. I would have to fly 2,000 miles to go and visit my child, and then she would dictate when it was that I would see her. Yes, today. No, not tomorrow. She's not. We have this. I'm like, I flew 2,000 miles just to be with my kid. I only have 4 days, and she wouldn't allow me to do that, and so I had to take her to court once again. By the way, I removed you so that I can actually speak. And so then I had to take her to court. And then so what I managed to get was scheduled visitations and Skype calls. I spent $30,000 to get basically 5 days a week of Skype calls with my daughter, which is what I was doing for my whole the past 7 years. And I would be on tour. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to actually have internet. It was so crazy. And then I would call, and then she wouldn't pick up the phone, and so I would miss the call. Then I would send a text, and she wouldn't respond to me until the following, the following day. And it was like that for 7 years. And sometimes, all the time, she would never respond to my texts. And, anyways, to make a long story, crazy. Long. Here I am. I questioned the paternity earlier on. Basically, I went to go visit her in 2018, April 2018, and when I got there, my daughter was completely turned against me. I don't know what was going on. But what I did notice over the 7 years is my daughter was always cold towards me all the time, and I wouldn't do a thing to get her upset or to have her thinking anything ill of me, because I'm only there for a week and I'm trying my best to stay on her good side and everything, and so I would just kind of put up and shut up with all the little comments that her mother would make or whatever, or even the comments that she would make to me. I would just kind of swallow it, and but when I arrived there that time, in April of 2018, my daughter was underneath the table, and she was yelling and screaming as I walked in to the house. And now I haven't seen my daughter, probably for about 3 months at this point, but we see each other on screen. And she was under the table saying, "I hate him. What is he doing here? He's ugly. He's got warts on his face. Mom, I told you I didn't want him here." And I'm like, I walk in, it's like I walked into the Twilight Zone. I'm like, what is going on here? And so I went there, I spent the day. She finally kind of calmed down, but I had asked her on the second day when I went there, she was once again yelling and screaming, didn't want me to be around. And I'm trying to ask her mom, I'm like, what's going on? And I said to my daughter, I said, "Sweetheart," I said, what's happening? What did Daddy do? I mean, do you talk to other people this way? If you're at school and someone talked to you in this way, wouldn't you feel like they're bullying you? And she's like, "I can do whatever I want." And I'm like, "Yes, sweetheart, I know that you can do whatever you want, whatever you put your mind to, but you can't talk to Daddy this way. You talk to other adults this way." And then she just, "Mom, I don't want to," because her mom was going to go to work, and I was going to go to the movies and spend a day with her, and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I can't stay where I'm not wanted. And so finally, after that whole episode, I went to the bathroom, I wiped the tears from my eyes, because for 7 years, I've just been trying to be in my child's life, and I've been alienated all the time. And even when I go down there, if we would do some artwork or something, her mom would always say, "Oh, which one whose is better, Gabriella?" And I'd walk in, and it'd be like us against them against me all the time. And so I would walk in, I would realize there was no pictures of me inside the house. That the artwork that we had done would be taken off the fridge. It was just constant. All of this was just constantly going on. But I did question the paternity when it happened, because who leaves a father when you're pregnant? You know what I mean? Especially if there's no violence.
Was the relationship good? Sorry. Was the relationship good? Like that is weird. Like, you only leave a father if something bad is happening. Was the relationship good and she just like left?
The
Or
relationship was strained. Her mother was always was always irate. She, if my schedule will change by the minute during that time, and she was an entrepreneur. Apparently she was like this, super, or wealthy entrepreneur, and she had all these rich friends and whatnot, and doing these deals, and anyways. I just assumed that she was her corporation was more organized than ours, and we were constantly traveling. So whenever we would make plans and plans would change, she would actually go ballistic on me, and she was putting ultimatums on me. And I was wondering, why is she putting on all this pressure? She asked me at one time, how long do you give a relationship before you get married? And this was 4 months into a relationship, and I said, well, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And she went flying off the rails, and I'd have to go searching for her in the streets of Toronto at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she wouldn't respond to my texts. I was in the twilight zone. I didn't understand why, but now 7 years later, I do understand why.
okay.
The
So what would
reason
you say?
is she didn't put me on the birth certificate because there's a very good chance, and after looking at the ultrasound dates, that we weren't even in the same city when my child was conceived. So that's the first thing. But I questioned that at the time because we hadn't been intimate because you're asking whether or not the relationship was good. It was rocky. We hadn't been intimate for at least a month before February 14th, which was Valentine's Day. And I figured, okay, it's Valentine's Day. We were just on the Oprah Winfrey show. We sang at the NLB at the All-Star game. There's a lot of great things. Everybody's all happy. You know what I mean? Let's try and make this work. And so, took out to dinner. One thing led to another, and there you have it. But a week later, she started feeling morning sickness, and I'm thinking, morning sickness after a week, I'm not sure if that's kind of, and then we were watching this program, and someone on the, this is God intervening here. Someone on the program was having a relationship with someone, and the child wasn't theirs. And the guy asked her right there, is this my child? And I'm lying on the bed next to her, and I look at her, and I'm like, that's not us, right? And she flipped out. Okay? And I know it probably was insensitive or whatever, but something inside me was telling me, something's not right about this. Okay? So fast forward, she ends up leaving me a month later. On the 12th, we get a paternity test. She's pregnant. I'm thrilled. I tell the world, I'm going to be a dad. This is so awesome. My family, we've had 8 kids in my family. I love all my nieces and my nephews. Family is so important. All I wanted to do is be a dad. And so I'm so happy. But then a week later, she leaves me. And I'm thinking, why would you, okay, yeah,
Right.
we weren't getting along, but there's no abuse except for mental abuse that you caused me. She was making me go on antidepressants as an ultimatum for her to come and visit and be with me. She made me renovate my whole condo. It cost me $10,000 so that she could come and live in my condo, moving from Vancouver. She was ready to pack up and leave her life to come on tour with me, to go and help orphans in Africa, and to do the concerts all around the world and live that kind of life. And so I'm thinking, wow, here's a woman that wants to leave her life to come and spend the rest of her life with me. This is awesome. So I put everything into that relationship. I put everything into it. And so I went on antidepressants, and I gained a ton of weight, and I realized, and it was against my core, and I realized that this is ridiculous. I'm doing this and I don't need it. So I went off of them, and for a whole month, I pretended that I was still taking them. And then I was asking her periodically, so how are things? How do you feel things are at? Oh, things are great. Things are just wonderful, And I'm like, oh, great, okay. And then I would ask my band members the same thing, because everybody knew that I was on antidepressants, right? So I was making sure that everybody knew. And then, and my family knew that I was on them, but nobody knew that I was off of them for a month. So once I told her, I said, listen, things are great, aren't they? Yeah, things are so amazing. Oh, awesome. Well, I just want to let you know that I haven't been on antidepressants for over a month now. And then she flips out. She calls my sister. My whole family was against me and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, hold on a second. You guys don't understand. This woman, she actually choked me because she thought that I was talking to someone who was my ex-bandmate's sister. She was coming to me talking about this music video. We're amongst family. And because I was having that conversation, she thought that I was interested in my friends, in my bandmate's sister. And it was ridiculous. The whole thing was complete ridiculousness. And she choked me. She jumped on me.
Oh my
And,
God.
I never had a woman try to choke me before, but she was like 5 foot nothing, but right on top of my throat. And I'm a singer. So that
Right.
makes a big,
Right.
leaves a big impact on me. And anyways, so these are the things. And I'm thinking, this is so crazy. Why would you leave a relationship when you're pregnant? And
Right.
so that's why I started asking. Sorry, go ahead.
Questioning. That's why you were questioning. Makes
Yeah, that's
sense.
why I'm questioning. And so I'm questioning all these things. And then when the baby was born, she was trying to make all these ultimatums that I need to own my own house before she can come and visit. That I can't remove her
Wow.
from where she lives until she's 5 years old. All these stipulations. I'm thinking, this is crazy, man. I got a family that wants to see, the child, so
Right.
I didn't sign it. But she didn't put me on the birth certificate. And so, then I had to get a lawyer, because she wasn't allowing me to see the child. And all of these things are going on. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. And then she receives $120,000 from a friend for starting a scholarship fund for my child. And I'm thinking, okay, you might have rich friends, but who gives someone $120,000, a scholarship fund? I mean, that's completely ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so that was when I was thinking, you know what? There's a good chance that someone paid her off to take care of the child. And then she was trying to tell me to get out of her life. Try to say, we don't need you here. If you want, you can just go on. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Right.
I'm here.
Right.
I'm here because I want to be my child's life. You know what I mean? Don't be ridiculous. And so I constantly had to fight her, bring her to court, pay a lawyer $30,000, get Skype calls 5 days a week, do all of these things. And for 7 years, I suffered like that. I used to have to, when she was breastfeeding, I used to have to walk 40 minutes from the hotel through knee-deep snow, getting my shoes caught in the snow to go and spend time with my child. When she would breastfeed, she would kick me out of the house. I would have to walk another 40 minutes in the freezing cold. I had to do that 4 times a day when I'd go visit out there. I would do anything for my child. I would,
Right.
and I did. I did everything I possibly could, and nothing was ever good enough. She always kept her at a distance. And when I was down there, I filmed the first time my daughter said, "I love you." It's when she was 2 years old. We were together sitting over, and I had the phone, and I would film everything I possibly could, and her mother would try to stop me from filming. And her mother actually put cameras inside the house so that she could keep an eye on me. When I found out, I'm like, oh, look, everything's great. She's quiet. She's sleeping. I'm feeding, all this kind of stuff. And so she had all that evidence, all that there, but she was just completely out of her mind with everything else. And so now I'm thinking, 8 years later, I go down in last April 2018, and when I get there, this is what's happening. I've even performed at her school, and did a master class with the choir over there. Her choir sang in my concerts, all her school kids. So, the whole professional thing, everybody loved it. The school was welcoming me there, no problem.
Right.
And so after that incident where I left after day 2, when my child started yelling and screaming under the table and didn't want me around, and I wasn't going to keep myself there, so I went back home. I went back home in tears, and I said, congratulations to the mother. You seem to have won this, but I said, but the war's not over yet. And so
Right.
I used to be getting calls every single day, 5 days a week. She changed it because of this whole episode. She says, maybe we should just move it to the weekends. I'm like, okay, let's try just the weekends to give her time, and maybe, and so the weekends would come. First of all, after that incident, I didn't hear from her for 3 weeks. She went completely silent, cold. She blocked my number after that. And so I couldn't reach her. She finally reached out to me and said, we're going to do a call. And so we did a few calls, but my daughter started repeating what exactly happened that day. And it was nothing like reality. She said to me, you called me a bully. You said that I wasn't special. And I'm like, Gabriella,
You
I
could
said,
tell
no.
you're not like that at all.
I said, if you were at school and someone was treating you the same way, that
Right.
wouldn't you think that they were bullying you? And I said that
Right.
I know that you're special, that you can do anything you set your mind to, but you can't talk to daddy this way.
Right.
And she says, no, 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 you're lying, you're lying. And her mother was there, silent, who was present for that whole thing. And I said, Kat, I said, can you
Are you
please
gonna
explain,
correct
what really happened, And her mom was like, it's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. Oh, it's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. Not even addressing any of that stuff. And then they just hung up. And from that moment on, I never got another phone call. I never heard anything from them again. The next week came and went. The following week came and went. The next week came and went. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. I'm going to call the police to find out if they're okay. I want to make sure that they're okay. Oh, that's all I
Right.
want to know. And so I
Right.
called the police. I said, can you please go and make sure that, there's a white car in the front and that everybody's okay. So the cop went there. They called me back. They said, contact your lawyer. I'm like, contact my lawyer? And then, yeah, we can't get involved. I'm like, hold on a second. What happened? And they're like, they didn't want to discuss anything. All of a sudden, I get a letter from her lawyer saying to me that I cannot see my kid until she gets counseling for bullying that's happening at her school. Now, she says that the bullying that's happening at her school is because of me. Because in 2016, I stood up in front of, 32 million people, and I changed the lyrics of the national anthem because I was sending a message to the system that divides each and every single one of us and is creating a racial war. And so I stood up for all lives. That's what I said. I said, all lives matter to the great, to the one that created it, and we stand on guard for peace. When I did that, okay, I changed those words for peace and equality and for everyone's life. The media jumped on it and they inverted the message. They made me out to look like I was a racist. I was written up in Times Magazine as a passive or aggressive racist here in Canada, Maclean's Magazine, without even one of them reaching out to me and asking me. They would have known that I have a biracial daughter.
Can I say, 'cause I know you can't hear me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like exactly, God is amazing to put you here on today because people don't communicate anymore. They don't listen anymore. Okay, they're just going to say so-and-so said something. Now let's go spread that lie or believe what they want to believe without even giving you a chance to finish a sentence. And so they wrecked all this havoc. And that's not, and you would just send a message of peace and love. You sent a message of equal peace and love,
Yes.
unbiased, and they turned it into this.
Exactly, because my issue was like, here we have the MLB that is protecting their assets, right? And there's all races, creeds, and colors playing baseball for them. They have major cops protecting their assets, but their families out there are not being protected, right? They're being abused. They're using the laws and they're using their power to divide and conquer the people. This is what was going on, and this is what I knew. And I knew that the movements were being funded by George Soros. I mean, anybody who actually starts researching, they see what's going on, right? And so, anyways, I can't expect everybody to have the same knowledge and experience, and so people will come to it with a different point of view, and I understand, and that's totally fine. But the point of the matter is that my child now apparently is being bullied at school. Kids saying that your dad doesn't know the national anthem, your dad doesn't know how to sing, and all of this, how would these kids even know this stuff if their parents aren't telling them? Right?
Exactly.
Or is this all bullshit? And what happened was I stepped on a mine when I got a restraining order because I went to the school, because after that happened, after the fact that the lawyer said that I can't talk to her or see her, I had to wait 3 months for a therapist to actually see my kid. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, next week I'll be able to see her.
Like, I know we have this thing. If you guys are just joining right now, this is Remigio. I want to say it right.
Pereira.
Pereira. Okay, and he's a singer from Canada, and very well known. And if you guys are just hearing what this is, I mean, this is why I say this could happen to anybody. It's happening to anybody everywhere, all over, all over, all over. And if you just
Everywhere.
turn in, I mean, this is heartbreaking. This is like probably this is a man that just gives a
Pereira.
message of peace and love and equality, and he's a calm person, you know, like, and this is just unbelievable. And it just kills me to hear it. It really does. It just kills me. Yes, no one is immune, Alicia. No one is immune. No one is immune. And you know
I'm
what are
sorry,
your what?
sweetheart. It's so bad, our reception right now,
I know.
that I'm
I know.
hearing things from so I kind of missed what you were just saying. But should I continue? Just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're loving it. They're all sending all kinds of.
So here I am now, unable to see my kid unless a therapist sees her. Well, I contacted this therapist, and she had booked a scheduling for a month afterwards. And I'm thinking, a month afterwards? That's a month without me being able to speak or talk to my daughter. That's crazy. She's like, well, that's all I got. And so I'm like, okay. So I waited for that month. That month comes up. And then I call her the day after asking, how did it go? And she responds, oh, I didn't see her because I went on vacation. And I'm like, you went on vacation? How is it possible, and I'm going to be seeing her next month. So now I'm saying, you're making me wait 2 months before a stranger communicates with my own daughter to let her know it's okay to talk to daddy. And so I'm like, this is crazy. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to go by the books. I'm going to wait. And I waited again. And guess what? She went on another vacation. So now it's September. This happened.
Oh, he might be getting a call. He's frozen. He might be getting a call. He's frozen. He can't hear me unless he puts the headset in, because it affected somehow affected the sound. But hopefully we can get him back on here. He's frozen. I don't know if someone's calling him. I know I wanted to get Christina on here, and I was hoping. But you guys heard it here. Hopefully he'll come back in. You guys heard it here. I mean, it's here. Let's try to get him back in here. It's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Reason behind my madness. Trying to keep the focus on the family court, because I mean, it's the whole system. It's the same thing. But my purpose for this is to show that they just intentionally make wrong decisions all the time. They will always make a wrong decision all the time. Hopefully he'll be hopping back on here. Remigio, I don't know if you can probably hear me this way. We're trying to get you back on. If we can't get him back on, I'd like to get Christina, give you the chance to talk. If you want to try to hop in the queue. It's saying that it's joining him, but it's not. So I don't know if he lost signal, but he was in one spot. So I don't know if you guys had any questions. He's also a very outspoken advocate for Canada as well. I think Joyce probably, you think you know him, right, Joyce? If you're still on here. Gosh, I don't think we can get him on. Trying to get him back on. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, a peace-loving person, not somebody, like he said it, like there's no abuse other than the abuse that she was doing, including physical, and okay, I'm trying to get Christina on now.
Hey, how are you?
Hi,
Hi
good. How are
there.
you? That's my husband, Chris.
Hello, Christina and Chris. Yep.
Hi.
And so this is everybody that's watching. This is a married couple now that we're going to hear from, this is why I would like to do this and trying to, show everybody. So, what's going on in our country if you don't already know, and
Yeah.
how bad the abusive system is. So family court, you feel abused by family court.
Oh, yes. Our story actually goes clear back to 2015, 2013, when we first got involved with children's services in our area. Our first experience with children's services, we got the impression that they were there to help us. Our first caseworker did everything to help us get our kids back, which was amazing. We worked our case plan, ended up getting our kids back after a year. Second time comes around, and this all based, me and my husband are recovering heroin addicts. We have been clean from substances since March 21st, 2014. So meaning me and my husband are not perfect, but by any means, we would never in this right mind, since we've been clean and sober, try to jeopardize losing our kids. I'm just gonna put it this way. I have severe PTSD. I can't hear somebody knocking at our door because it's the fear that somebody's coming in to take my kids. I don't sleep. My husband doesn't sleep. When I see a car pull up to our house, whether it is for us or not, it's a thought that somebody's coming to take my kids. I'll go back to last year, actually 2017. My husband passed out in our bathroom. I had to call 911. He had just got home from work, no big deal, but he wasn't feeling well and passed out. Well, I called 911. My kids were in the home at that point. 911 got there, and because they know our history and know back from 2014, they automatically said it was an overdose without any other question of me saying it's not an overdose, he's very sick. Gave him 6 doses of Narcan as I'm screaming at the EMTs, please do not give him any more Narcan. That is not the issue, not the problem. He ends up waking up as they're carrying him out of the house on a stretcher. Our kids are at the home at this point, watching all of this. My husband wakes up. He was not in any sort of withdrawal, nothing, because it was not a drug overdose. The local police department that was there told me I have to file a report with Children's Services. You will be hearing from them. And I said, no, absolutely not. You do not have to do that. I said, it was not a drug overdose. We have been clean. And me and my husband knew what was going to happen. We knew. We're not stupid.
Let me just ask a question so that people can follow.
Yes.
I just want to make sure. And you're telling this you're doing a very good job how you're telling the story.
Yeah.
But now you guys have both been clean since March 2014.
Yeah, 2014. Yep.
Okay. So you have how many children? How many children
2.
together?
We have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. They're both girls.
Okay, so let me do the math. Okay, so were you guys doing heroin?
I'm sorry?
At one point, you guys were doing heroin when you had the children.
Yes, but most of the time when we never were at a point where we did drugs in front of our kids. At the ending point of our addiction, we were just doing it to stay normal so we could I worked a full-time job. My husband had full-time jobs. We just finally knew that it was time to change and we were about to lose everything. And, we admitted, we asked our family for help, and, at that point we knew, we had to take charge of our addiction. We went to rehab. We've done it all separately. Me and my husband separated. He went to a different rehab than I did. We've completed treatment multiple times. We've go to a thing called Celebrate Recovery, where we've done cardboard testimonies. We've done it all.
I know Celebrate Recovery. I like it very much. I think it's very good.
Yeah.
And it's Christina. So can I ask you guys something? This is just me asking because I don't know the answer to this. And
Yeah.
so would you say, and I'm proud of both of you, by the way, and I commend both of you for what you've done and that you're clean. So we all applaud that and
Thank you.
very proud of you.
Thank you.
But I want to say prior to, sometimes I don't even recognize it in people. I noticed that there's something going on today where you can notice when somebody's doing drugs, and today it's almost like I'm blown away when I find out, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel stupid sometimes, but would you say prior, when you guys were doing heroin, would you say, and I also appreciate your candidness in telling people publicly, I appreciate that, that it's safe or unsafe for children at that time, not now, at that time? What would you say? How would you answer that?
We were being unsafe. We would put our kids in a car at 1 o'clock in the morning to go grab our dope, and our kids were sleeping in the car seats in the back. I mean,
but in our minds at that moment, we didn't think we were doing anything wrong. We just thought, oh, we're doing this to say, and we didn't realize as an outsider looking in how terrible it really was. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Our kids never went without. They were never hungry. They were never, nobody knew. Nobody knew. Our kids were well taken care of, except for the fact that in an instant, they weren't well taken care of because our focus was on the drugs. And at that point, when we came clean to our family and everybody, we did say, we will give the kids away. So not away, but we would give the kids to our family so we could get the help that we needed. And our family was.
And see, that's beautiful. So did the family get to have the children so they stayed in biological family while you guys got it together?
Yeah, they did. They did. And so after we were clean, so we were going to a place called, I was going to a place called Family Recovery. Well, you know how faulty these drug tests can be, and I'm not going to say every time that, yeah, they're faulty, and sometimes, they are not correct. Well, I had a false positive for methamphetamine in my drug test, and the drug test was not sent out. So the leader of my group, my IOP group, took that and ran with it. Had an in with Tina Dale-Hennon, who is the investigator for Children's Services in my county. Came to my door. Tina did. The investigator searched our house. And meaning we had just moved. We just got a new apartment. We're getting our lives together. Our stuff was still boxed up, and the cop says, "I have to search your house." We let them because we didn't think there was any problem.
And here's the thing: when we went to get clean, our families packaged our house up and just threw all of our belongings in boxes. So we didn't really know even what was in the boxes.
Yeah, we had no idea because our families helped us get, So the cops went through our house and they found a little drawer that had stuff from when we were in active addiction. And the one was a little piece of cotton that had methamphetamine residue on it. Well, the investigator for CPS, the whole reason she said she came was because she had a report that we were manufacturing methamphetamine, but there was, mind you, I'm not stupid by any means. If I was manufacturing methamphetamine, would I let a police officer and a CPS person in my house?
We've been clean for 8 months.
And we had been clean for 8 months. So, so anyways, she comes in. Does a drug test for both me and my husband. Mouth swab, comes back like 2 days later and said, me and my husband both failed for methamphetamine. Friend, we never saw a positive drug test result. She just said that we failed.
Because they found a piece of cotton in the house. I got felony charges. So
my husband gets felony charges for them finding drug possession for a piece of cotton that they found. So CPS rode with this. The CPS investigator ended up placing the girls with my mom, and didn't come back for 3 weeks. Didn't check nothing. Well, we didn't know that when we signed papers, which we hadn't even signed yet, She said the girls were supposed to be under a safety plan where my mom was supposed to have the girls, but we didn't know anything because nobody explained anything. So we still had the girls at this point. They hadn't placed them with my mom, but my mom was still taking them because she was scared of what was going to happen. So the CPS investigator comes back 3 weeks later and says, why are the girls at your house? They're not supposed to be here. And we were like, well, we never signed any piece of paper, anything. She forged a safety plan, which meant she forged names and she forged a date saying that me and my husband signed the safety plan 3 weeks prior, which we never did. Never did.
Wow.
Never did.
Wow.
So
They're so honest.
yeah. So what ended up happening was we worked our case plan. We get our kids back. Everything was good. So this was 2015. 2017, we'll go back to where my husband passed out. CPS comes crawling at our door on Monday morning with Tina Diohenden saying, we need to place the girls immediately with your dad because of the drug overdose. And I was like, there's no drug overdose.
So I'm glad to hear that, though. At least they were going to biological family and not ripping them away into foster.
My mom was out of state. So was my husband's mom. And the only person the only person to take these kids was my dad. If my dad didn't come to the police station right away to take these kids, because when CPS came that day, my husband would not tell the police that me or the girls were in the house because my husband knew what was going to happen. Because he wouldn't tell them, the officer arrested my husband. They never had a positive drug screen because they said it was an overdose, but never had a positive drug screen. They never had a drug screen, period. Said that either of us were positive.
Nothing but liars. They're just absolutely nothing but they're just nothing but liars.
Okay,
but I have a question. What state are you in? What state are you in?
Ohio.
I'm curious because I'm trying to hear about all these different states and the different ways things happen. I mean, in my state, I live in New York, and like something just happened way northeast, like northwest of me, and I noticed in different sections of New York, different things happen. Yeah. And that's mind-blowing to me. Different things happen. Like I told in the beginning of this live, how they gave a heroin dealing convicted criminal, an infant father, and the mother that was smoking pot had to have supervised visits. It made no sense at all. So I can't make heads or tails of it anymore. I'm just at a loss at this point.
Yeah. So this was 2017. They placed the kids with my dad for 2 years. With no positive drug screen, no anything, no nothing. They said it was a drug overdose. I never tested positive. The drug screen I took that day because I asked for one. I was so upset I could not get a
OTC meds.
Yep. Yeah, you can. Yep. The drug screen she tried to give me was a mouth swab. I had no saliva in my mouth. She said I refused to take the mouth swab, and I was refusing to give saliva. So therefore, I was giving up the rights to my kids. And I said, that's not right. You're absolutely wrong. So we go to court. Sorry, go ahead.
They're just saying they're liars. It's what they do. They're lying.
So they give my dad the kids, temporary custody of the kids for 2 years. 2019, we go back to court, which was this June. My dad sits down with me, my husband. He's like, you guys have done everything that they've asked. No failed drug screens, no nothing. What else can I do? So my dad was like, here's what we're going to do. To get CPS out of our lives, I'm going to take legal custody. We're going to go back in a year. My dad's was going to pay for us to get a lawyer to go back to get custody of the kids after a year because that's what they told us to do. The court date comes, we go in, CPS is blown out of the water because now they're pissed because we gave custody to my dad and we're getting them out of our lives. So my dad takes custody.
They'll just go after him.
Yeah, so now all the court paperwork that we got, there was nothing in the court paperwork that said that me and Chris could not have the girls full time. It was only under the discretion of my dad. Well, let me tell you, we get filed paperwork with the court. We have to appear in front of the juvenile asshole judge on the 10th because they said we pulled something against the court because the girls have been living with us and not my dad. That in any of that paperwork, it didn't say anything about that. Nothing. Well, the way that was written, we all missed it. It just said the girls could stay with us, but they couldn't live with us, and that was where they got us.
No, it said it was not in the best interest of the children to be living in our home. But that was at the time of court.
Yeah.
So that's not right now.
This is what I don't understand, Christina and Chris. This is what I don't understand. Like, I watched a newborn infant be handed over to full custody to a father that had a criminal conviction, many criminal convictions, dealing and using heroin. And using heroin. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out why you would give an infant to him, because he's only going to take that infant to a drug deal since he's already convicted heroin dealer. Right. And yet the same judge, this Judge McKenzie and Duchess, the mother, who was a pot smoker, had to have supervised visits. Okay. But my point is that, so now you guys are clean for 5 years, and that they're still going to keep you like a hawk, because that's not safe for children, which you both agree that's not safe to Chris. We know that's not safe for children. We're not saying it's not. I just wanted to hear from you. Of course it's not safe for children. But they give a newborn father that you know, that, what do you call it, that is a convicted heroin dealer and user. So he'll take that infant. To me, what he'll do is he'll take that infant to his drug deals, and eventually CPS will get the child. They already kicked the mother out, so she's gone. And then basically they'll sell that baby into adoption. That's what I foresee happening. You know, that's why.
Well, during this case too, here's another thing they did. We had unsupervised. Well, then they gave us supervised visits. Well, she came to visit us one afternoon, the caseworker, gave us our mouth swabs, whatever, sat there, talked to us for almost a half hour, just sat there and talked to us at our kitchen table. I get a call from the caseworker a week later. She says that I failed the test for alcohol and I was over the legal limit, but I hadn't drank that day, and she was standing 2 feet from my face. Obviously, she would have seen if I was intoxicated.
She said you didn't smell or anything.
She said I didn't smell. She said I wasn't acting intoxicated. They took away my unsupervised visitation and put it back to supervised, so the kids couldn't live at our house anymore. They had to go back to her dad again.
So are they back with you guys now, though? Is everything like...
No. My dad was advised by a couple... Yeah. By a couple of different attorneys to take.
Bananas right now. I'm sorry. Did you want one with banana Zepernick?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry. So my dad did take the girls back. Just for right now until court. My dad is completely against this, but in the paperwork. The paperwork that we got, it's scary because it says, you know, because my dad didn't follow what the court guidelines were, which we didn't know, and he was also advised by a lawyer that works with the he works with the prosecuting attorney.
If he's ordering food, he has to order food for all of us that are watching. Tell him that he has to order food. You got all these people that are hungry now. You guys put your orders in.
We're good. Okay, so now the advice that my dad got was from a attorney that works through the county, kind of like he's a paid attorney. But when my dad, we were all done with court. Our court-appointed attorneys told us it was okay that the girls could come stay with us just as long as we stayed out of trouble. The attorney that my dad paid $2,500 for never read over the paperwork, and there was a little clause in there that said the girls could not live with us because we were still because it was the best interest. So none of us knew this. So what happened was the principal of one of my daughter's schools, I filled out emergency paperwork and I sent a letter to the school that just said, hey, add us to the emergency contact list. Well, because the school got copies of the court paperwork at the end, which said me and my husband were still having trouble with drugs and alcohol, substance abuse, that she called my dad, called him every name in the book, called him over the phone, and told him that she had to make a report to CPS because he's not doing what's in the best interest of these kids. These kids are doing amazing in school. They're flourishing. They're in soccer. Like, they're doing everything Friend, there's nothing that we haven't done that could jeopardize. There's nothing that we have that could have jeopardized our bills are paid, everything. But because the schools are involved and have the power, look what happened. Now we have a court date.
She's gonna get cut off, right? There she goes.
Now we have a court date to go back to court that they're probably going to say that, my dad is going to keep custody, but they're going to block us from being able to see these girls. You know how much damage this is doing to these kids? They pulled them out of the house with their parents where we're taking amazing care of them.
And we promised our girls they would never have to go anywhere ever again because mommy and daddy are doing what's right. And then now they have to go back to her dad's house instead of living with us. And that tore me apart when my daughter said, Daddy, you promised we wouldn't have to go anywhere again. I'm like, well, what? I didn't fucking do anything for once. Like, seriously. They're ripping my kids out for no reason.
And just like how the guy was on here prior to us, it's everywhere. And people don't understand. When they hear our story, they're like, that would never happen to us. Do you not understand that it will happen? It can happen to anybody. And you're right.
I do this all over the place. It's happening to everybody. Nobody's exempt. It's happening to everybody.
You could be the richest person in the world. It can happen to you. And it doesn't matter.
I just hung up with one about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Millionaires.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? They say it's in the best interest of the kids. Well, and this is the other thing. If they thought, if CPS thought that the kids were in danger, why didn't they come to our house or my dad's house and investigate?
They didn't check.
They didn't check. They just threw a court date. So if the kids were in immediate danger, where are they at? Where are these people that are going to check the houses? Where are these people that are going to drug test us? Where are these people? They're nowhere because all it is a money. You know what? It's money. And my dad never understood. He thought CPS was a great thing until he was lied to by these workers and now he's like
it's like this. It's just however the wind blows, they'll make decisions, whatever's going to keep it going, whatever's going to bring in more money. There's no real rhyme or reason for it. There never is and there never will be. There's the devil, there's no real reason for what the devil does other than to rob, kill, and destroy. Yeah. That's the goal. Rob, kill, destroy. And I'm really happy to see that you guys are going to celebrate recovery over AA because it's a Christian-based organization versus AA. But I also want to say I'm really happy to see the two of you that you're married and that you're representing marriage, husband and wife together here, and you're together, and that they didn't try to break you guys up.
So they tried.
They tried.
They told Christina she could have the kids back. They told Christina she could have the kids back if she divorced me.
You, right? I know. I see it every day. And you want to know what? And that's why I'm saying this to you. I commend you guys because, and I want to reinforce this for you guys because I have watched beautiful families be ripped apart, and they tell the mother, and you tell me if they did this for you, they tell the mother, you have to get rid of him or I will take your children. And what's a mother to do? So she gets the blame. She gets the blame for something she did not do. Yeah. And she doesn't know what to do. And I've seen whole marriages get ripped apart to shreds. And there was never any. There was never any abuse at all.
And the whole thing is, when we're going to go in front of this magistrate, he's going to use our past against us, where clearly you're not allowed to do that. And the thing is, I feel like, and I know this is not true, but I feel like I'm the only person, and I know a lot of people feel this way, that I'm the only person that's dealing with this. And I know that's not true. But in my own mind, I'm the only person that's dealing with this. And what are you supposed to tell your kids? And I keep thinking my worst nightmare is I'm going to go because we're going to call them off of school next Thursday. That's the day of court. Because you know what? I don't want them to pull them from school if something bad goes happen. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to cover all our bases. And I
understand exactly how you feel, because at the end of the day, when you go before that fake judge in a fake court, it is only you. Even if you got advocates sitting there, it is only you at that moment. And I understand that. And one of the stereotypes I hope to God one day before I stand before him that I did the right thing by telling people, or that I was heard. Actually, I know I did the right thing, but that I was heard. To take the stigma and not re-abuse people. Take that stigma off. You didn't lose your children; they were stolen. And there's a big difference, and you guys admit it. You know, this was not a good issue. Obviously, this is not a healthy thing for children. And it's not the safest thing. You guys did everything you could do.
Yeah.
And,
I just,
but prior to that, there has to be, and I'm glad they didn't go into foster care. Thank God.
well, that's the whole thing. The paperwork that we got for the court date says that they could possibly relocate them to the
county
county care. And this, oh, let me tell you last thing before you go, because I know you have other people. Listen to this, and this is going to blow your mind. Not really, but it probably will. So my dad's lawyer, who works closely with the prosecuting attorney for Columbiana County CPS, made a deal behind the scenes with not one lawyer, but two lawyers behind the scenes that says that, you know, as long as my dad, you know, follows rules, that the kids aren't going to go anywhere.
We haven't even been to court yet.
And we haven't even been to court yet.
They can't make a deal like that yet.
And typical lack of due process, bull crap, non-constitutional violation of all your rights, and, you know, trample all your rights. I hope they see this today, but I just want to tell you guys, make sure you do the opt-in. Make sure you get make sure you do the opt-in and you get your award, and they can never touch you again after that. So hopefully I'll be taking that live tonight or soon so that any basic questions can be answered. But the opt-in is very simple. If you know how to write your name, you know how to put your birthday, and you know how to sign, you can get opted in. So it's not complicated, guys. And it's on my page, and it's on Nick Herring's page, and I believe it's on Robert Slavin's page. You know, it's got to be there. I'm pretty sure. I have to go looking, but just go. The instructions are right there. I advise you to please read it yourselves, because we're not going to sit there and interpret it for you. You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing on steroids.
Yeah, and if it's not even the lawyers that are helping. It's people like you that are, you know, that are taking their time and their money, that are helping people like us that don't have a clue, you know, where to go or what to turn. And if it wasn't for the advocates and the you know, the people that are actually working to do positive, it would be a shit show, because, you know, all these lawyers that are thousands of dollars that people pay, you know, that promise, it's empty promise after empty promise after empty promise. And it's just like, what are you supposed to do? Where are you supposed to turn? And that's how a lot of people feel. They feel that they can't turn, that they have nowhere to turn, because who's going to listen to them, you know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate having you guys on. Thank you so much. I'll be praying for you and everything moving forward.
All right.
You know,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching today, and you know, share this video. And if you missed the beginning, go back and watch so you don't miss out. But I want to have 4 people. I wanted 2 mothers and 2 fathers, and I got that today. So good. All right. God bless you guys, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.